Hi, my name is Nomtebo Musane. I'm a young woman driven. I strive for perfection. I love seeing women striving. We met in this working space of ours, but the drive and the business style that you have has really captured me. That's why I've asked you to join me in this conversation. Chilled, relax, we're having a conversation. We need to let other women know out there that whatever ideas and plans and goals and visions that they have is very possible. And the best way for them to know that is to actually see it in action. So that's what the conversation for us is going to be today. We're mainly just talking about you, your journey, how you've become this great successful businesswoman, what you would say to someone who's a businesswoman or trying to get into the business sector. Just that. And obviously we are about to wrap up the year. There's people who are thinking, oh God, the year is over, so I can just now stop. But then there's people who still think I can still do something with the time that I have, but they don't know what they can do. So that's us. Please just introduce yourself and then we're going to have a conversation.
Alrighty, thank you, Nomtebo, for having me. My name is Tryfina Kgokong, and as you had mentioned, I'm a businesswoman, I'm an entrepreneur, and I've currently got two main businesses that I'm running. The one is, their name is called Triumphant Zoe, and so it's actually two divisions. One is the property side. I'm a professionally registered quantity surveyor. That is my specialty. I've been practicing for 15 years now. Yes, I know I look young. I always say that.
You do.
Yes, and then it just so happened that really the coaching bug bit me. I have to say I've always loved coaching, mentoring people, and I actually then decided to go for training for it in 2019 and became a life coach certified, business coach certified, as well as an NLP practitioner. And so those are the two main focus of business that I'm currently being involved with. Yes.
But now take us back to Tryfina, the young girl who maybe like most of the other girls are like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, I want to be that. Take us back to the young you, and how did you come about thinking business is the way for you?
Funny enough, I actually came from really humble beginnings, and I really share this story to let everybody know that your dreams are valid. Just because your past wasn't so great. I mean, I grew up in Limpopo. My father used to teach in Sekune College, and I mean, literally, we didn't have all the money we wanted in the world. I went to a public school. My father would drive us to school every day, pick us up, and from there I could start to see my father actually had a really great impact in who I am today, as well as my sisters, because he was so passionate about education. He instilled values in us of working hard, being disciplined, even though we didn't have a lot, but we knew that if we could just go to school, get an education, that is actually going to be the beginning of our future, because once you're educated, once your mind is open, once you've received knowledge and you start to understand how things work in the society that we're in, the economy that we're in, that's where your ideas of business will start to evolve from there, right? So it started off with getting an education right from a young age and dreaming big. When I was in high school, I remember I used to think, oh my goodness, I just want to get away from this village, because literally it was Anchabeleng, like a village. Can you imagine? I was like, I used to dream. I want to get out of here, Lord. I even prayed. I said, God, if you can get me out of this village, I will literally believe in you forever. I will save you forever. And it was a miracle for me to be in matric and have teachers telling me, you have to take standard grade subjects because that's all we can teach you, If you want high grade subjects, you're going to have to self-study. I literally, my dad bought me study and masters for physical science and maths because I knew I had to take those subjects for the course I wanted to study. I actually wanted to be a doctor. Funny you said that.
I know, that's almost all of us.
Oh well, it didn't happen. But it's good it didn't happen because I was redirected. Again, I want to encourage everyone. Just because a certain route that you wanted to take failed, it's not the end of the road.
Yes.
So when you fail in one area, don't think it's over. Don't just give up and want to kill yourself and be depressed. Know that it's actually a redirection. It's another journey that you should be actually following. It's like, try something different. Maybe that's where you're supposed to go, right?
Yes,
and I ended up in construction actually. Funny enough, I found myself at UCT, even with all the hard work I had to put in to study and really qualify to be accepted at the university. It was like a miracle for me, because I remember I was saying the story in high school. The thing that made me want to go to UCT was because I was able to visit my sister who was already there. So you will never know where you want to go until you've opened your mind to it, right? Or you've had a vision of it, or you've like been exposed to it somehow. That is why I always even go home back to Lidak, my home village, and the kids there have never been exposed to anything outside, because that's where my dad retired to. And when you go there and you engage with them, you realize, oh my goodness, if only they could see, there is so much more out there, right? So being exposed is part of the reason why I ended up as a businesswoman, being exposed to different things. I've traveled quite a bit. I worked in the United Arab Emirates for about 5 years. I was in Dubai, I was in Abu Dhabi. So that exposure opens up the mind of a person. It's like, wow, okay, you work with people from all over the world there, and you start to realize, my goodness, as South Africans, we actually have such great universities. And just because I'm from a third world country, somebody's from a first world country, it doesn't make me less than a person. When you are in a project together, you're working with people from the UK, from Germany, and you're like, how I can also do this too. I'm doing better in some of these deliverables. So it made me realize that, oh my goodness, we are just human beings. Let's not look down on each other. Let's not look down on ourselves as well, right? And then when I came back,
just reminded me. I was listening to Bishop T.D. Jakes not so long ago, and he said the world, Earth is flat. So you coming from another country and me coming from another country doesn't really differentiate us that much, because the world is flat. So if you try something in South Africa, for example, it doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean that the thing is not possible. Maybe move to the other side. It's a flat world. That is very powerful. Thank you so much for that. Now take us to your baby. Step number one, now you've decided, I'm going to be a businesswoman. You've had the experience, you've seen the places, your mind is open to the ideas that you want to do. Step number one,
okay,
how did you start?
You know what? It's so funny because I did not plan this, right? What happened is I was actually employed. I was working for a company. And it just so happened that there were salary cuts happening, and that kind of woke me up, because when you're employed, you always think, oh, my job is secure, I'll always have this job. That's actually what...
Sorry, do you mind pausing? So now take us to a time where now you've been around, you've seen everything you want to see. Now you're like, I have this baby in my head that I want to bring into life. Take us through your journey of now giving birth to your business.
Yeah, on that note, I just want to encourage everybody who's listening today that you should never take for granted, small beginnings and where you are now in life. Because when I did get to that point where I registered my company, I look back in hindsight, and I was very glad that I had that experience in different corporates, that had taught me different lessons. And I now am using all those lessons learned in my business. How do I structure a bills of quantities? How do I measure? How do I price? How do I negotiate around the table? Had I not had that corporate experience, I wouldn't even be able to run a business. So what I'm trying to let everyone know is, when you are working so hard, you always feel that you're pushing in corporate, no one is recognizing, what you are doing. Don't look at them to recognize you. You recognize yourself, because the growth is for your benefit, because you will see it when you need it for yourself, right? So just encourage certain people who feel like they're overlooked, even in corporate at the moment where they are. So the way that it happened for me, funny thing is, great ideas always happen without planning. So I did not plan this, and again, God can push you out when He sees that you are ready, but you are still kind of in a comfort zone. You're like relaxed. I mean, it's nice to get a salary at the end of the month. Hello,
security, you're secure.
I did not want any risks. But thank goodness I had some savings. So the key point I'd like to tell people is, please make sure you put away some money if you want to jump into entrepreneurship. Because in my mind, I was thinking 6 months I'll be good. But you need at least 2 years to really be established and to be consistent and sustainable. You need at least 2 years, because they say most businesses fail in their first 2 years, but after the 2 years then you become more sustainable. But then it just depends as well, because some people they start a business within a month month, they've got a big client. But it is not always the case for everyone, right? Because I
Yes.
literally started hustling on my own. Like I did not have, friends in high places who were giving me the connections. I started from the ground up. And let me tell you, first point, register CIPC. Go there. I did that. I just went. It literally didn't take me more than a day to have my company registered. So don't also fall into the trap where people say you need to pay me money to register. It's literally you don't have to pay anybody for that, right?
Free.
So, but then having a company registered doesn't actually mean that you've got a business. They're like running business with clients and everything. So you have to really start with the basics. Sales is everything in a business. Knowing people they really like working with people they know. So don't isolate yourself and try to work in a silo and say you've got this. I have an MBA for goodness sake, right? I've got degrees upon degrees, but often people don't care. They don't care what you know until they want to know to see whether you care, you're listening, you're engaging, you're connecting. Because when you're sitting in a project meeting, people want to know that they're sitting next to a person that they can chat to and socialize with and all of those. So that's basically the business advice I'd like to give others. Save up a little bit, make sure you've got enough, and also just when you start your business, really make sure that you are approaching the right clients, targeting the right clients, selling your services, but then engaging with them as human beings. Not just like I need you to be my client so that I can get some money to run my business. And again, a business is for a bigger cause. So know why are you starting your business? What is your why? If you don't have a vision of where you're going with your business, what is your mission? Like for us in Triumphant Zoe, we offer quantity surveying services. Our vision is to be the most preferred and leading quantity surveying firm in the country, and then after that we'll go global. That is the vision that we have. A big vision, that's how your vision should be. It should be very big. And every day you wake up, you're looking at that vision, you're focused. I need to continue, right?
Yes,
You remember your why you started. Your mission is, we obviously want to empower women in this space because we've noticed in the construction industry, the women participation is very male dominated. So we try to also bring up the women to participate actively, not just like the woman is a cleaner, the woman is this. No, let's actually have women who are in construction, who are in quantity surveying, who are playing those participative and involved roles. So that's part of our mission. Obviously, our other mission is really we want to make a difference within our industry, within the communities that we are operating in through our quantity surveying services. So whatever we do, we must make sure that it is impacting the environment. We are participating in building social housing or residential project, or every type of project must have an end goal and something that is adding to the value of the economy. End of the day.
This is amazing. I'm also sitting on the other side. I'm taking notes. I'm like, oh, this is what I'm missing. This is what I need to add. I think that's what, for me, these conversations are so important because there's always room for learning. There's always room for growing. You mentioned something that a lot of people that are in business are always like, those people who are not well educated will be like, yeah, I just woke up the man and then I decided I'm a businesswoman, and then I did my thing. You were talking about our corporate journey. There's a lot of negative stigma around you holding a corporate job, your 9 to 5 salary, and all of that. But thank you for highlighting that you can use that journey as a learning curve.
Exactly.
Because of those experiences you have, you've been able to maintain your business because of that knowledge you got from corporate.
Nothing goes to waste.
Nothing goes to waste. A friend of mine said to me the other day that instead of looking at your employer as just your employer, why don't you look at them as your investors in your business?
Yes.
Because the knowledge that you're going to get from the employer and the business that they are running is going to help you in your business, and you could even sometimes turn around and have them as your client.
100%.
So 9 to 5 is not a waste of time, unless if you just sit and do nothing and just receive a salary. That's a different conversation altogether. But thank you so much for freely sharing your journey. We just celebrated Women's Month. There's so much stigma around women. We don't like each other, we're in competition with each other, we don't help each other. There's like a lot of negative stigma. I know there's so many challenges that we as women are facing, but today I want us to look at the challenges that we cause towards each other. There's so many instances where we are each other's enemies, where I look at you and I think, why her, why not me? It's like we were conditioned by society growing up that we, instead of us being parallel and being partners, we actually like if Tryfina owns those earrings, it means they are finished at the shop. I won't be able to go and get them, so they finished. So I'm just gonna grab them out of her ears. What advice would you give to women in general, or young women in general? We are raising beautiful girls. They are physically beautiful, but I'm not sure about their inner characters, themselves, their understanding about the power of women coming together.
Yeah, you know what you said literally is very powerful, right? I think it takes a person really knowing who they are. Because when we understand that, listen, like my fingerprints are unique. There is no one in the world who has this same fingerprint. That goes back to your core values, your core nature, your core identity. So knowing who you are. Who am I as Tryfina? When I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror. Michael Jackson actually made a song saying, look at the man in the mirror. Look at the man in the mirror. This is like your own journey of life. And so you might actually undersell yourself when you compare yourself with sister so-and-so.
Yes.
Because, you know, your giftings, your talents, you know, are so different and so diverse for that reason, because God created us to be unique and to be different. You know, we don't have to compete. You know, you don't have to look at, you know, another sister and say, hey, well, she's looking so nice, Lina, I want to go and get the same outfit that she's wearing so Lina can look nice. That outfit is not going to look the same way on you, the way it looks on her, because she has a different body shape and everything. Like, we do not have to compete. I think the advice that I'd like to give to the young ladies out there is know yourself. And really dig deep and take time, because I took time to reflect on myself. I took time to do some reflection, some journaling. I did some leadership training, some coaching, really digging deep into how I grew up, you know, from my experiences, because experiences, they do mold us into who we are today. So if you grew up in a home where your mother was always very hard on you, or your father was not even present in your life, you grow up with that thing of, oh, do I look nice? Oh, like self-conscious, or maybe lack of confidence, or whatever the case might be, because of the way we have been conditioned, as you have said. So it's about, you know, that the brain is very elastic, by the way. So you can always train your mind to start thinking differently from the way that it had been conditioned before. So funny enough, I was in a class today and we were talking about how neuroplastic the brain is, neuroplasticity. So you've got neurons in your brain, and the way you think, the more you think the same way, and then you're creating that habit in you and that behavior in you. So it just takes a matter of shifting your thoughts. Thinking differently. Instead of saying, I want to look like sister so-and-so, you wake up and say, no, today I want to look like myself. I want to be me today. I'm going to pick whatever I want to dress like today, and then I'm competing against myself. Let's say you want to lose weight, right? If you want to lose weight, you're 70 kilograms, you want to be 60 kilograms. If you're losing 100 grams a day, it's fine. It's your journey. Don't try to compete with another sister who's losing 5 kg a week or a kilo a day, and now you say, I'm now a loser because I'm not at the same level. No, take your time. Take it easy on yourself.
Do you mind pausing again? We are still very fresh off Women's Month, and women face a lot of challenges. There's so much going on internally and externally when it comes to women. So what advice would you give to young women, or women in general, about mainly just knowing who they are? You've mentioned earlier on that it's very important for you to actually know who you are. I think for me, you knowing who you are, it prevents a lot of the unnecessary challenges that we need to deal with, competing with each other. Why would I want to be you when I'm very happy with myself? So just to wrap up on the advice on young women and women in general, to just support each other. I'll share a story quickly. I prefer a compliment from a woman than a man. Not that I have anything against men. It does something to my spirit when another woman is like, oh wow, you're doing well. Oh wow, you look great. Or it hits differently because of the society we grew up in, that we never compliment each other. We're always competing with each other. So for me, when a woman is saying high fives to something I'm doing, it has more value for me. You know what I mean? So women, we need each other, but we just don't know that we actually need each other.
Yeah, and well done on the work that you are doing, you know, with the women, empowering women, right? You know, advice again, you are unique. You know, just be yourself. And I think the core of the matter is accepting yourself the way that you are. And if there are certain changes that you want to apply, whether in your way of thinking, your habits, your behavior, your physique, whatever the case might be. Allow yourself the time that you need. You know, be easy on yourself. I often feel that the projections that we have, you know, you always address something that you feel is lacking in you. You know, when you see somebody else struggling with the same thing, you are the first one to judge because you already know that you recognize it in you.
Yes.
It's projecting.
Familiar.
It's projecting. And so, really, like what you're saying, can we be more collaborative rather than trying to compete with one another? Because they say one can put 1,000 to flight, but you know, two can put 10,000 to flight. So there is that power of multiplication and momentum. And again, you know, somebody said, what does a candle? A candle does not lose its own light by lighting another candle, actually. So you don't lose anything by empowering somebody else. In fact, you are multiplying and making the circle bigger. And the cake is enough for everyone. I always feel there's a queen bee syndrome that women carry. And it's like, I'm the only one. I must be the only woman in this room, you know. And without realizing that we need to actually lift as we rise, as Mr. I forget, Lebohang Mohali, you know, always says, you know, like if you have an opportunity to sit in a room, a boardroom, where you know you are an influencer in that room, you are supposed to be standing up for the other women and speaking on their behalf, representing them and pulling them up and saying, I can't be the only woman in this executive position. Can we start working and mentoring and coaching and developing other women to bring them up? You know, so for us women, it's up to us. You know, we can't keep on complaining about men have the leadership position. What about women? What are we doing ourselves to empower, coach, mentor, bring up other women? It's up to us.
Yes, definitely. This conversation can go on until, but thank you so much for taking the time. Before we wrap up our conversation, the year is almost over. I'm sure there's some people who are like, you know what, I'm gonna catch it again next year. It's done, I tried. And there's some people who are like, actually, what's left of it, on to the next one. Any advice you'd give to someone who's saying, listen guys, I know the year is almost over, but I think I can still do something with the last few months that are left of the year?
Yeah, you know, Jim Collins put it very nicely. He wrote a book saying, good is the enemy of great. So whenever we feel comfortable, actually that's when we should be worried that, oh, the year is almost over, we are there, we are done, you know, we've done enough, you know, we are just recovering from this stress of COVID and it's a lot. Actually, this is our time. So the way I look at life, when I wake up every day, it's a new day. I don't wait for the new year to celebrate, oh, now it's a new season, it's new time to plan. No. Every single day I wake up, I'm like, okay, yesterday has come and gone. Yes, there were victories, there were celebrations, there were achievements. Also, there were regrets and downfalls and failures, whatever the case might be. But every day, the Bible says, you know, the Lord gives us new mercies every morning.
Yes.
So when you wake up in the morning, look at the day as like a new canvas, you know, for you to write your daily chapter for the day, for today, right? And so what I'd like to say, there's a technique I use. It's actually very great. It's called the resource triangle. Often we don't even know what resources we have, right? And so let's say you've got a triangle like this, and you are currently at this position, you want to get to that position, but you need resources. You need resources to get you there. You are here, you need resources to get you there. It's a triangle. And so think about where you are now. Let's use an example. I want to lose weight. You know, I'm 100 kilograms. I want to be 70 kilograms. What are the resources you have? You are 100, you want to be 70. Current, desired. Okay, I can go to the gym. I can run. I can get a gym partner. I can eat healthier. So those are the resources that you have. You know, friends support, family support, or in business. Okay, I'm currently employed. I want to start a business. What are the resources that I have? Often we overlook the resources we have. The people we know who can actually,
we're always wanting what we don't have.
yes, assist us in getting there, right? A phone is a resource. Pick up your phone, start calling, you know, prospective clients and start generating leads, you know, or develop ourselves as well. Like if we don't understand social media, or we don't understand how to market, or we don't understand leadership, or whatever the case might be, what we need to understand, we can learn. you know, the continuous learning is a journey. I'm still learning. I never stop learning. I'm even diversifying my business at the moment. You need to diversify yourself in the season that we are on. Don't say the year is almost there, we've run out of time. You've got time. You know, don't give up on your goals. Even though you didn't achieve maybe your goals that you started with in the beginning of the year, it's never too late. It's never, revisit them once again. Go and look at them again and have a gratitude journal. You know, being grateful for whatever the case is happening in your life really actually builds you up to focus more. So be very focused on your dreams and look at your life in a way that balances things out. So don't just focus in only your career. What about your health? What about your mental wellness? What about your relationships, your romance, your financial, your personal development? So look at your life as a holistic picture. You know, it's called the wheel of life. So have a look at the different areas of your life, rate them between 1 to 10, 1 not satisfactory, 10 very satisfactory, and see what are the actual areas that you need to focus on, you know, and then start working on them. It's a daily thing, you know. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So you're not going to have an overnight success thing. That's what stops us actually from moving on and continuing with the work we want to do, because we give up. We're like, it's too much, you know, it's a big thing, I can't do it. I want to leave everybody actually with the analogy of the starfish, which really helps me a lot to break down my big goals into smaller goals, and not giving up on what the dreams I have. Let's say you're walking down the beach and then you notice that the ocean has washed off like a lot of starfish. Like you can see, like from here to there, there's like millions of these starfish, and you're like, they're going to die, all these starfish, because they're now washed out of the ocean and they're on the shore, and oh my goodness, you're overwhelmed by all of that. But guess what? If you pick one of those starfish and you throw them back into that ocean, you have made a difference in that one starfish. So have that starfish analogy mentality to say, out of all the 100 tasks I have to do, if I've done one today, boom, I've done something. It makes a difference.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for your time. We've had such a great time chatting to you. You said so many things, and I'm just going through and taking notes. It's very inspiring to hear such empowering words from someone who has shared their journey. I always like these conversations because they help us relate. You always look at someone and be like, she was born in Sensen, that's why she's got all of this, without actually knowing that it's not about where you start, it's about the journey that you are going through. It's not about where you come from, it's about the dreams that you have. So thank you so much for sharing that important aspect with us today. Hopefully we're going to have more of these conversations.
Oh, yes,
a lot is going to be happening. I'm really, really glad that we have started this relationship. Thank you for your time, for allowing me to just chat to you and open and share your life. I love what you closed with, and I think I'm also going to close with it as well. Take it one day at a time. We're busy looking at next year already. We're already planning what we're going to be doing next year. Just take it. Starfish mentality. I am taking that to my heart, because we overwhelm ourselves with all the things that are happening at once, and then you end up not doing anything. But if you could just say, you know what, out of these things, let me at least do this one. Maybe I'm struggling with getting my weight right. Let me get my career right. It's your life, and you have to look at it holistically, not just the one aspect of your life. Thank you so much, Tryfina. All the best for your baby. I hope it grows, and may God bless it. We're still going to see great things from your baby. Thank you so much.
Much appreciated. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.